Good afternoon. It is your boy, Coach G, and this is Unbreakable Souls. But I can't do this without my co-host, my partner in crime. Mark, bring up my boy Gene.
Hey, what it do, beautiful people? What's up, Coach G?
Hey, my man, how you doing,
You
bro?
gotta do it with the shoulders, man. You gotta do it with the shoulders, Coach G. Coach G.
Boy, you so silly. Oh, how you
Man,
been,
how you
man?
been
Good.
doing? I've been good, man. I've been good. Just working a lot, staying focused. In therapy, thankfully.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm in
So
therapy now. Yeah,
yeah, so I'm feeling like our discussions have really
yeah.
prompted some inner stuff for you that I'm proud of you, man. That's dope.
I
Here on
appreciate it.
Unbreakable Souls, we lead by example.
Yeah, yeah. Big
Yeah.
facts, man.
So speaking
Yeah,
of that for a second, what's that looking? What's that feel like for you?
yeah. So I just I've been in therapy before for about a year and a half or two, um, and then I couldn't afford it. So, and I just going through the trauma that I'm going through a divorce, custody battle, blah blah blah. Um, I started to go back to bad habits. We talked about the drinking heavily. Like,
Yep.
hey, it was getting bad, brother. I was starting to put it away again every day, and it's like,
Oh no.
mm, yeah, this ain't good. I
No.
don't, and then it was hard for me to process um, the feelings of sadness and anger and despair, and it just became like, okay, I'm falling back into old traps that I
Yeah.
see very clear now.
Yeah.
I got the tools to see these things, and I'm still falling into these traps. So, I was like, yeah, I need to go back to counseling.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. It got bad. It got dark.
No,
It
man, I'm
got
I'm
dark.
thankful, number one, that you went back, you recognize that, and I'm thankful to the Lord that these are the topics and subjects that we were talking about for
Yeah,
the last 6, 7, 8 weeks.
right.
So I know that helped stir up some of that stuff in you. Me
Yeah,
too. And you notice I'm on the
yeah,
water,
right.
the water.
That's awesome, brother. I'm glad to see that you're still pushing through, man.
Yeah, man. So I feel that, man. I kind of had some issues with release too. So um,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't think we can do a show like this without it affecting us personally.
right. Yeah, facts. It's like you lift up rocks and look under them, and you see, oh, there's a whole ecosystem here under this
Yeah,
rock.
yeah.
So
And
now you
and
have
it,
to.
keep going.
I was gonna say, and now you have to now because you realize that there's something there, you have to explore and put it in its place where it
Hmm.
benefits you because this is something that was intentionally hidden under a rock.
Right.
You know,
That's good.
uh, yeah. So you gotta put in. This is the work now. You have to make sure that you transmute that into something positive as opposed to it continuing to be something negative and limiting, which is what was transpiring. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I love what you're saying because love that analogy of the ecosystem, pulling up the rock and seeing a whole new ecosystem. And what I thought instantly when you said that was seeing yourself,
Yeah,
looking at, and you're
exactly.
like, oh my God, that's me right
Yep,
there.
yep,
So I was sitting a couple weeks ago, was invited to um, AL, and AL couldn't be here tonight, but today, but
yeah,
went to his men's conference and for Elevate Men, and
yeah,
one of the speakers was a counselor, an Black African brother, and man, dude was spitting so much fire, and it
yeah,
encouraged me. I'm like, now he's speaking on a whole nother language that
hmm,
I haven't experienced in counseling
right,
before. So I got his information and planned on plugging in with him to go a little deeper myself. So just let you
yeah,
know that that's in
yes,
front of
yes,
me as
sir,
well, man. So I'm
yes,
excited
sir,
that you're in there. I'm
yeah,
excited that I'm going to be jumping in there. So,
yeah, yep. Yeah, it's
but yeah,
needed,
man.
man. It's
Go ahead.
underestimated, man. Especially people of color. Like we're
Right.
we're told by society to just pull yourself up by your bootstraps or get over it. You're strong. Like we don't experience pain and trauma like everyone else of every other shade or hue of melanin or lack thereof.
Right.
We all experience trauma. We need to honor that. And see each other as a work of work of art in progress. You know,
Yeah, that's so good, man. Which actually brings me to a point. This video Mark's about to pop up for us. Um, what a segue. We're talking today about relationship trauma, and I think we spent so much time talking about all the other traumas, but the one
right,
really that's near and dear to our heart is relationships.
right,
Friendships and family ships and
right,
business ships,
right,
partnerships,
right,
and then our romantic relationships. So
right.
we've got a powerhouse
Oh
couple
yeah,
here
yeah,
with us today that we're going to go through this video audience. Um, this is kind of, it sets the foundation for relationship trauma for it. It's got some 4 points that it's going to discuss, that we're going to hit first, and then after the video we're going to bring them up, man, and when they share, you guys are going
yeah.
to be
It's
blown
gonna be
away.
fire,
Fire coming out. So
fire.
Mark, go ahead and shoot that video for us.
Our brains are wired for connection, but trauma rewires them for protection. That's why healthy relationships are difficult for wounded people. Do these words speak to you? Trauma can come from many difficult sources, and sometimes this includes those closest to you, your family. Negative experiences you had growing up, or even heavy responsibilities and expectations placed on you throughout your childhood can often be too difficult to forget. Psychologists call these adverse childhood experiences, potentially traumatic events that can happen from a child's birth until they reach adulthood. According to Centers for Disease and Prevention, these events are linked to chronic health problems, mental illnesses, and substance use problems in adolescence and adulthood. So even as you grow up and replace the family you were born into with the family you choose for yourself, it's still hard to let go of the trauma. It seems as if the ghosts of your past come alive and try to make it all about them once again. And even if you know in your heart that your partner is not the parent who hurt you, it may not help. What kinds of trauma can one experience through their lives, and how do these traumas impact their romantic relationships? Let's explore 4 types of trauma and their effects on your romantic life. Rejection trauma. Let's start with the trauma of being rejected. Rejection trauma is born in a home where we're made to feel like we don't matter. Try to think back into your childhood. Were you always pushed away? Do you feel like you're not worthy of your parents' time? If instead of love and warmth you felt rejected, you may have carried that feeling with you. And today, you might find yourself fearing rejection all over again. Only this time you may feel rejected by your romantic partner. A 2015 research paper published in Dialogues in Clinical Neuroscience examined emotions that occur when people perceive rejection in their relationships. According to researchers, rejection trauma could make you feel hurt, jealous, lonely, ashamed, guilty, socially anxious, and embarrassed. All of these emotions can later negatively impact your relationship and your self-esteem within that relationship. For example, psychotherapist Amy Morin said for Very Well Mind that people who went through rejection trauma may interpret rejection as proof that they are unacceptable in some way. If your partner is too busy to spend time with you or doesn't reply to your message right away, you may say to yourself, "Yep, I knew it. They don't care about me." Do you sometimes think like this in similar situations? The reality might be, and often is, completely different, but you still may perceive it as rejection and take it personally. Maybe you believe that you only matter if you're accepted by others, or you might struggle with constant fears and worries, expecting rejection to inevitably happen. Abandonment trauma. Hand in hand with rejection often comes abandonment. As children, we depend on our parents to feel safe and be safe. But in some cases, our parents make the world feel unstable and dangerous. Have you experienced some kind of neglect or abuse that made you feel unsafe at home? Maybe it was a lack of supervision, physical and narcissistic abuse, or staying hungry all the time because you weren't given anything to eat. When a child goes through these experiences, they can't really understand why these things are happening. And often they can explain this only by believing that they don't actually deserve any attention or care. They start to believe that the world is not worthy of their trust, while they aren't worthy of the world. They feel abandoned. Abandonment trauma often leads to formation of an anxious attachment style. A 2017 study published in Current Opinion in Psychology found that individuals with an anxious attachment style may be hypervigilant and worry about their worthiness in a relationship and their partner's desire to be with them. And in some cases, severe trauma can even cause the development of personality disorders such as borderline personality disorder. Psychiatrist Mark Zimmerman wrote for MSD Manual that fear of abandonment is a common symptom of borderline personality disorder. Even if you don't suffer from BPD, you could still feel the same mix of emotions when you feel abandoned by your partner. Anger, anxiousness, and fear. You might react intensely, acting jealous and possessive, or crying your heart out, because all you know is that you can't stand the thought of being alone again. Betrayal trauma. Maybe the worst thing about these childhood wounds is the fact that they were brought to us by the people we trusted. People who were supposed to love us more than the world, people who were supposed to be our superheroes. Suffering trauma by someone you are close to and depend on for support and survival is defined as betrayal trauma. Have you been deeply betrayed by someone you loved and depended on? This could mean discovering that one of your parents or your partner cheated, family members justifying abusive behavior, or maybe one or both of your parents engaging in drinking or gambling instead of providing for you. If things like these happen to a child, they might have trouble accepting it or believing it, so they often just suppress it. One study from 2009 published in the American Journal of Psychology suggests that those who suffer from betrayal trauma often dissociate traumatic experiences from conscious awareness in order to preserve the relationship. It's because they're too dependent on their abuser to believe otherwise. And once they grow up, they might continue the same patterns. They might become dependent, feel inadequate to be on their own, and decide to stay in toxic relationships. They might be too afraid to leave, too afraid to be betrayed again, so they just put on a happy mask and suffer in silence. Humiliation trauma. Lastly, your childhood may have left you with a wound of toxic shame, humiliation trauma. Was there a time when your parents made you feel deeply ashamed of yourself? They might have laughed at you for changing body during puberty or mocked you for not getting the highest grade in school. In order to survive feeling ashamed and humiliated, you might have developed some coping mechanisms that you still use to this day. Dr. Linda Hartling said for modernintimacy.com that there are 3 strategies that you might use as a way of dealing with toxic shame from your childhood: moving away, moving toward, or moving against shame. Moving away from shame means isolating, keeping secrets, or withdrawing from your partner. Moving toward shame could show up as codependency or people-pleasing behavior, becoming what you think your partner wants you to be, even if it means losing your sense of self. And when you move against shame, you might try to fight those who shame you. Maybe you use passive aggression or insults to shame your partner before they get the chance to shame you. These strategies might help you cope, but they might be detrimental to your relationships in the long run. Do you feel like some of these trauma types describe you and your relationship patterns? Have you recognized some other childhood wounds that get in the way of a fulfilling love life? Unfortunately, sometimes we may unconsciously seek partners who imitate those who hurt us. Later on, this can lead to trauma bonds within a relationship. Are you stuck in a trauma bond? Take a look at this video and find out if it's a trauma bond or love. Don't forget, you matter. Thanks for watching. Until next time.
Wow.
Man. Yeah, that went so deep. So
Yeah,
quick,
that's so
bro.
rich, man.
Yeah.
So rich. So much into that. 4 types of relationship, or really childhood trauma that lead to relationship
Right.
trauma.
Right. Exactly. Right.
Man, there's so much to chew on that. But anything you want to say
Yeah.
first before we bring up a guest on that? Because
No, I want to introduce him. Let's go.
yeah. So, hey, audience, we've got a power pack couple
Yes.
that I've known for a couple of years now, and just in the journey of a warrior for me personally, they have been very instrumental in my growth, in my development, in my healing.
Yeah.
Really on the ground roots level. They have boots on the ground for me, and some low points. They have my back, and I love them. I get emotional every time I think about that. I love them, and I can't even put words to how I feel about these two. But welcome to Unbreakable Souls, David and Isabel Black.
What's up?
Yeah. This is a quintessential power couple right here.
Right.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I just wanted to, Gary, thank you for those kind words that you spoke to us. You're always speaking onto us as well, and onto our relationship and us individually. And you've been just as instrumental in our life as we have been in your life. So I'm grateful for this connection, grateful for Gene and the works you guys are doing together, really making a change out there. But yeah, it's been a fun ride.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I just have to honor you guys because you guys walk the talk. I mean, there's so many people in this space that talk a good game, and then you look at their
Right.
relationships, especially marriages. And
Yeah.
I'm talking to myself because, being a minister in church and stuff, a lot of the relationships, especially marriages, they came to us. And we spent so much time building up other relationships and helping other couples that we forgot to work on our own. And
Exactly.
that led to trauma in our situation. This video that we just listened to reminded me of so much stuff, man.
Yeah.
That
Same here.
Gene, yeah. So I'm definitely gonna need to hook up with that.
Yeah, right. It woke up some more trauma, and he was like, "Yeah, I need to talk to somebody about this stuff." Oh
Right.
my god.
I want to implement something though, Gary, for all the listeners who be tuning into this episode. Is it's not that we walk the talk or talk the walk or whatever it is.
I
It's
know I
that
didn't say
we
that right.
practice
Yes,
walking the talk.
Right.
intentionally.
We're not
Right.
perfect, and we
Right.
are at peace with knowing we're not perfect.
Right.
Yeah,
But we practice, but we do have a practice, and we are able now to lovingly check each other when we're outside of our own practice,
yeah,
right? Because I don't want anybody to think that, for like I thought for so many years, that you had to get somewhere before you can be that person. Like you had to do something first,
yeah.
and it's not. You can start now. It's just a practice. It's a devotion every day,
Right.
multiple times a day if you need to. Whatever it is that you need to get you going, build new muscle memory,
Right.
and
Yes.
see what happens in your life from there.
Yeah, such an intentionality.
Yeah.
That's kind of
Yeah.
what I was speaking to, is that you guys wake up every day intentionally doing something better, being a better version of yourself individually
Right.
and collectively within your
Right.
marriage. And I think, man, there's so much power to that. I know that resonates with you, Gene.
Yeah, definitely. Again, it's the constant doing the work, it's the conscious work of knowing, okay, I know that I'm not perfect, and there's no such thing as perfection. I mean, the universe itself is still forming. So the universe, which we are a model of, and a smaller version, then if the universe is still evolving and growing, then we're supposed to constantly do the same thing. But the goal is to consciously be aware of, hey, I want to be a better version today, even if it's this much more than yesterday.
Right.
Every
Yep.
day, a little step. And 365, bro, you look back and be like, whoa, there's miles behind me. I did this work in this time just by being consistent. So I love what you just said. That hits so deep.
For sure.
Yes. So Dave and Izzy, take it away. Introduce yourself to the audience. Tell us a little bit about who you guys are, what you're doing, what's going on in your space.
Hi, my name is David Black.
Come on now. Let it out. Let it out.
We've been married for 20 years. We just celebrated our 20-year wedding anniversary in May.
Yay.
We've been together for 24.
Yeah.
So, I'll just say I was really surprised after dating me for 4 years that he asked me to marry him, because I was not intentional. I was not the person I am today. I was like, oh, he wants to go for a ride. Let's do it.
Well, I seen all the good qualities about Isabel, and it's like people want to see. I guess they want to compare it to, like, you got celebrities, movie stars, and this and that, but they overlook all the gems that's around them,
Right.
or they run into, and stuff. And it's like you got to put in work to, any athlete knows that you got to put in the work to get to a certain destination. That don't mean you stay at that destination, but you have to put in the work, And so I seen all the gems that Isabel had, all the good qualities she had, And I'm like, man, if she has that now and she's this age, like, what is it going to be like in 10 years? What is it going to be like in 15 years? You got to have that vision of
Like
of that
long-term vision. Yeah.
house, you know, and that don't mean it's going to be easy. That don't mean you're going to be right all the time. It doesn't mean they're going to be right all the time, but you got to come to sometimes a middle road of sometimes agree to disagree or just make a common ground, you know, and that's sometimes that your ego gets in the way and your pride, you know. So yeah, you just got to continue to, you know, people ask me, I went to a dentist appointment right before our anniversary and they're like, yeah, hey, how long have you been married? So I tell them, you know, we're going to be celebrating 20 years, you know, here in the next week or so. And they're like, wow, what's your magic? You know, what's this? Like it's some formula. I was like, you got to keep working as a team, even when the other person don't want to or don't feel like, or maybe can't, you know, depending on the situation. And it's like, there's never a end, you know, like navigation, we put it in and that's the end of the location. It's like you said earlier with the universe, you just got to constantly keep growing. And some days that look like it's like leaps and bounds, and some days it look like you're barely moving as much as a snail. You know?
Right, exactly.
But when we came together 24 years ago, we didn't have this knowledge, this understanding. You know, we didn't know that I was full of trauma. We both really were, but a lot of my trauma mimicked what that video we just saw. You know, when the people that are supposed to be keeping you safe are the ones doing the damage, misguiding you, abusing you, lying to you, making a fool out, being felt like they're making a fool out of you, you know, and all of that stuff, that betrayal. Yeah, when we got together, no, I wasn't willing to compromise. No, I wasn't willing to hear his opinion on a lot of things because I had 3 children. I didn't know at that time that he was going to love me enough to love my children and help raise them. I had no idea. So I was very cut and dry, and my trauma would show up because, as we've learned, where people feel safe, when someone makes them feel safe, they're going to allow their ugly to come out. It has to come out somewhere. And we try to be poised and not pour it on people in life. So we keep it in, keep it in. And the minute we feel safe, that's where we're going to dump on.
That's so good.
I did that. You know, I did that for a lot of years. So the compromise and working together and all that, sure, we were doing it as each year would go by, but it was toxic.
Wow.
It was not healthy. I was literally punching holes in walls, putting my hands at times on him. Just if I didn't get my way or if I felt overwhelmed, I would freak out. And it took therapy, you know, and Dave's the one who suggested, well, one, I'll say even before the therapy, before we got married, Dave picked the church we were going to get married at, and he took everything very serious. I'm not saying I didn't, but really I did. And I didn't take a lot of things in life serious. I couldn't, you know what I mean? I just couldn't. And
that's real talk though. That's good.
Yeah. So he found the pastor, found the church, and that pastor, praise God, made us do premarital counseling or he wouldn't marry us. And we started doing, aside from that with him, we started at the church we were attending. We took advantage of classes for marriage, classes for combined families, classes for parenting. I mean, anything that was being given us access, that we had access to, that we were able to do, we were doing it because I guess for that reason that Dave said, we saw potential in each other that maybe we weren't seeing in ourselves. So something just kept telling us, just go, keep working, don't give up yet. That premarital counseling really helped, in a sense, open my eyes, or at least give me a glimpse of those traumas that we just watched, those 4 traumas on that video. Because what I remember and that really spoke to me in premarital counseling and in that book we had was it started talking about when you merge your 2 worlds together, it goes way deeper. It said you're marrying 2 families together. So if your in-laws don't get along, if you're like, it webbed out. And I was like, we're screwed. Like, we're screwed because my family's a mess, and they will take anybody down with them that's at arm's reach.
Right.
So, but I knew he was a strong person also. So all these things that, even though I was learning with myself and probably him with himself during that time, I still didn't have the courage to speak up about it. This was all like, oh, that's good. Okay, take note. But we still weren't having those deep, meaningful conversations in that way. And I think because we knew there was still a lot of differences existing there and a lot of things interfering, that if we started talking about it, it would probably end in a disagreement or start an argument.
Yeah, but there's so much I've learned in my own journey, especially in relationship, that's the power, is having those hard conversations.
Right.
But I want to kind of stay in the vein. So the four relationships or four relationship traumas or four types of trauma that lead into relationship. They talked about rejection trauma, abandonment trauma, betrayal trauma, humiliation trauma. Dave, I really want you to speak to this, because it sounds like you were the stable force in the relationship in the beginning that brought Izzy in. And I think that's powerful, because that's biblical, that the man's supposed to lead, the man's supposed to bring calm and peace to disarray and different situations. So of those four, if not all four, what was the one that I think affected you the most, or affected the relationship in the beginning the most?
I think probably abandonment.
Okay.
Would probably be the most, because it's like, like when you're kind of like what Izzy was saying, like all the stuff that involved her as far as like her upbringing and stuff like that, it's when you go into a relationship, you got to think, it's like, to a certain degree, people's like, oh, I'm just gonna see how long this guy is gonna last, or how long this woman's gonna last, where they decide, oh yeah, they're crazy, I'm gonna go ahead and take off. They got too much baggage, and stuff. And sometimes on that note, we self-sabotage ourselves.
Come on.
Right. And I've seen it with family members where, hey, they might have a good girl or a good guy, and they just nitpick and nitpick and nitpick. Next thing you know, they're like, hey, I had enough. I'm exiting the relationship. And they're like, why can't I get a good person? Well, guess what? They just shut the door right in front of you.
Right.
Right.
And so it's like, it's not always, relationships, or even when you get married, it's like I tell people, it's easy to get married. It's hard staying married. Right.
Yes.
And so,
there's a mic drop right there. That's my boy again, dropping some fire.
And so like depending on your background, how you was raised, what you're used to, your family dynamics, it could even be religion that we want to sit and we're like, oh, I think my husband or my wife, they need to be this way, act this way, do this. It's like we want to like start to mold them. And instead of start molding them, how about we just accept who they are and love them through it?
Come on, bro.
And just show grace to not only your spouse but to yourself. And what I mean by that is like, hey, maybe I was kind of rude, or maybe I was short with them, and you got to learn how to say sorry and apologize.
Right.
Even if it wasn't, and that sometimes even if it wasn't your fight, you didn't, your fault. If your spouse or your partner picked a fight, and be like, hey, well, I'm sorry you feel that way. Hey, can I give you a hug? I still love you anyway. And sometimes that just breaks all the ice right there, because they might have been having a bad day, but they don't know how to communicate it, or maybe they don't want to talk about it, because you're gonna be like, hey, maybe you need to find a different job, and sometimes that's the case, but
and being on the other side of that, as the person who was aggressive and in survival mode and not being present in their life and having understanding or grace for the people around me, when he would hug me and literally do that to me at times, it would make me so angry at first. And my first emotion was, get your fucking hands. Oh, am I allowed to say that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We're
get your
real
fucking
here.
hands off of me, and I'd be like, don't touch me. And all of a sudden, why, it was a small fight, but because I got in my head, all that trauma came forward. I'm no longer in control of Isabel's body, Isabel's life. I've allowed my emotions to come take over. And all he was trying to do was love me. And I would take so offense to it. But because he stayed consistent at it, and then his actions afterwards followed. No, he wasn't just trying to calm me down so now he can dump on me and make me feel how I just made him feel. He would calm me down, and he would work very hard to navigate the energy to a more loving, positive energy and space. And with time, with consistency, my wall started falling, and I'm like, he's not doing this to make fun of me or call me out or pretend like he's perfect, and he always has to soothe and comfort me. All those things would go on in my head, and I just started saying, you know what, he's just a good person. Like when I could finally get to that thought process, he's just a good person, and he's just trying to help me right now. But it took time, again, like Dave said, and him willing to be present and calm when I wasn't willing to.
Yeah, that is beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful.
I think what's exciting for me with that is, as you're both talking, I have been eyewitness to this. I remember you guys, I'm literally in my living room now. I remember you guys being over here, and we're hanging out, and we're talking, and you're sharing stories, and the gentle giant is sitting actually in the seat right next to me, quiet, but every time he spoke with power. So I just got to watch what you just said in real time, real life action. And that's just been the model that in my 2 years plus that I've known you guys, that's what I see. And I love that Dave lets Izzy be Izzy. But then there's an honor and a respect with Izzy that, when Dave speaks, Izzy's listening. And I think he's earned that. I think the key word she talked about was consistency, and that he has been consistent over, long stretches of time. And there's so much power in consistency. So,
and I have to say this, just because of what I experienced from a lot of women in the different jobs and stuff I've had. One thing that I think really helped also in the relationship is that, and helped me to just grow in loving him and honoring him the way he deserves to be loved and honored, was that I worked really hard on never speaking about him in a negative light, even if I was very frustrated. I had my safe people. I have my 2 safe people. When I absolutely have to call someone and say, right now, I think Dave's this and this and this and this, and I'm so mad. And it very rarely happens anymore because we've grown into honoring each other. But I have my 2 safe people. My 2 safe people is his brother and his sister. Why? Because I know that they love him to death and would never jump on my bandwagon of saying, yeah, you're right, he is that.
Right.
They'll just listen. They know their brother. And then they honor our relationship. So when they do give the feedback, they're like, okay, so, you guys just talk about it. Let me know after you talk, or just breathe this one through. Maybe you don't even need it, just give it time. So it's safe people. Have your safe people to talk to. They have to honor your relationship, and they have to love the person that you're needing to vent about. And I just never, even if I felt it and other women were complaining about their partners or anything, I just refrained, and I would just say, I guess I'm very lucky. I guess I'm very fortunate because I don't have those complaints about my husband. And it was just because I think I did practice that because my family, just my parents and my sister, or really, I guess that's mainly the people. If you give them one little speck of dirt, they're going to make it a big muddy mess.
Yeah, they run with that.
And every time they don't get their way with Dave, they're going to make sure that they say the muddy mess they know and cause division instead of bringing together. So it's real important that you treasure and honor your unity, regardless of maybe how you're really feeling emotionally that day, and speak on each other on a positive light always, or just keep your mouth shut.
Right.
Hey, say that.
Well, I love how you're speaking that into existence. I've been hearing a lot of different things on different podcasts that talk about, male, female. But one of the things you just hit on, look at Mama talking about he just wanted to love you. Jennifer,
Right.
thanks for coming. She loving your story there. But
And Shannon as well.
oh yeah.
Shannon, yeah.
Thank you for being here, Shannon. But speaking into existence. So you're speaking into your king because there's a king or a
Yeah.
little boy in every man, and you're gonna
Right.
get which one you speak into.
Yeah.
You know, and for us men, there's a queen or little girl, and you're gonna get whichever one that you speak into. So I love how I've personally witnessed you speak into the king of David, and therefore you get the result of that. So that's beautiful.
Exactly.
Actually, want to add. I want to add something to what you just said. So actually, if you really think about it, we have both the king and queen and the child within both of us. So
Hmm.
in order to love the person, we need to love both. We need to love
Right.
the highest version of them, as well as that child that's been through trauma. And things that honor that with our speech. So we have to make sure
Acceptance.
that, yeah, we have to make sure that when we deal with our significant other, that we feed love into to both polarities of them. We all have our trauma that we've been through, and we also have, a higher self or heightened state of consciousness that we operate within. So we have to speak within both of those at all times. Speak to that child that hey, he's been abandoned as a kid. So, hey, I want to make sure that I know that let him know that I know that I'm here for you at all
Right.
times. You know what I mean? And so on and so forth, bro. But yeah, you got to speak into both sides.
Yeah.
Both sides are majorly important. You never outgrow your inner child,
Right.
regardless of how old you get. You never outgrow that part of you. So
Right.
yeah,
Right. It always needs to be nurtured. So I just want to jump into it. We had some talking points that we want to really address with this powerhouse couple
oh
today.
yeah,
Again, that I love so dearly. I can't say enough good words
Jack.
about them. But I think one of the pillars of a successful relationship, especially one that has experienced trauma, is trust. There's that dirty word again, trust. So relationship trauma can be severely disrupted by an individual's ability to trust others, leading to difficulties in forming or maintaining new relationships. This lack of trust can stem from betrayal, infidelity, emotional abuse, causing a ripple effect in a person's personal and social interactions. Talk on trust. Speak on trust. What did that look like in the beginning, and what does that look like today?
It's just night and day difference. And I don't mean like there was no trust from the beginning, right? So it's like you have trust in every long-term relationship, if it's either friends, marriage, it could be at work, right? Uh, there's going to be some point where trust is going to be broken or somebody's going to cross over the line as far as trust. But in order to grow as a couple, you have to, and like I said, it can be different avenues. You have to be willing, in order to trust, to get hurt, right? Get your heart broken,
Yeah,
Come on, brother.
you
Come
know.
on, some
yep,
And
vulnerability
so,
right
but a
there.
lot of people think trust like, oh, it's a one-time deal. It's not.
no,
It's not. Like if something happened and the trust is broken or somebody's crossed over the line or what have you, it's if you extend the olive branch, it's like, hey, the trust has been broken. Let's try to repair it. It's repairable. Some people are like, oh no, one and done. So what happens to every relationship at no matter at what level,
right,
if it's relational, job, or whatever, if it gets broken, you're gonna start all over again with another person and this and
Mm,
that, and because you're just opening yourself up for
right,
another
right,
somebody that you don't know,
right,
another job you don't know, a friend that okay, they might do the same thing 6 months later, a year later, 5 years down the road. So you just don't know. You want to keep continuing building with the person. Now, if it gets broken all the time, then you have to cross that bridge.
right.
But it's not no one and done, because if you do that, it's where's the
Exactly.
grace?
Yeah,
mm,
you'll never have a relationship if you do it like that.
No, you're
right.
never. You're gonna be chasing your tail. You're gonna be going in circles. You're not gonna have any friends.
Exactly. Right,
You're not gonna have a partner and
right.
stuff. So you just gotta, we have these stuff made up in our head, um, as far as like expectations, right? You have these
Yeah,
expectations. Oh, I'm gonna be faithful to you and this and that. But if you ever cheat on me, or if you ever spend all my money in my bank account, oh, we're done. You know, so you putting these expectations out. Now, are you going to back it up?
Right.
You know.
Well, and Izzy talked earlier about self-sabotage,
Yeah.
because
Yeah, it's real.
what you're doing in that moment, they're called vows and judgments. You are literally linking yourself with the very thing, speaking it prophetically. You're linking yourself with the very thing that you're saying you don't want to happen in your relationship. But you just gave the enemy permission. You co-signed permission to the very thing that will destroy your relationship. So, man, that's powerful, brother.
Yep. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. You have to
Yeah.
remember that every word that we speak is a spell. You know, I mean, you have to spell words out. So it's a conjuration. When you say something, that creates a reality.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you got to be conscious of your words, man.
Yeah.
It's best to be a silent giant and keep your words to yourself and speak, judiciously, as opposed to just blabbering. And then you wonder, why is my world so chaotic?
Right.
Because your words are chaotic. You're all over the place saying, things that you say you don't want, but you say it constantly, so you create that reality.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, I like to share this. It's like I remember, like, for how long Isabel and I have been together. Of course, you go through your storms, and you try to weather the storms. But I remember one of the storms me and Isabel was going through, and my older brother, which I'm grateful for him. He's like, Dave. He's like, in 10 years, it's gonna be completely different. But when you're going through that storm, you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
You can't even fathom 10 years down the road, right?
Right.
And stuff.
Right.
And it's like, he's like, hey, just hang in there, man. 10 years down the road is gonna be completely different. You're gonna be in a total different space. He's like, you guys will be fine. He's like, you just gotta put the work in, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man,
you got a great family, bro.
I got to pause for a second because you're blessing me, man. You are blessing me because I've had the privilege of hearing this behind scenes, behind closed doors, man, and you walking me through my own personal relationships. But for you to come here live on TV, man, and spit fire like this, man, I'm just like watching my brother evolve right before my eyes, and it is blessing the hell out of me, man. I gotta just say, dang, I'm so proud of you, man. Yeah, so I don't want to pause on that, but Izzy, did you have anything? I don't want to move to the next topic before I know, because trust is a big thing.
Yeah, no, I just trust was non-existent for me. What trust looked like coming from gang world and being groomed in that sense by our father of what real trust is and stuff. It was really non-existent when Dave and I met, plus broken relationship before him. And that's why I was like, look, I'm looking for a friend. If we could be that, awesome. Nothing more than that, because once I knew it was more than that, then I was going to have to work on putting trust, and that just wasn't something I was interested in initially in our relationship. But he gave me, he just was being present and gave me reasons to want to let my guard down and stuff. But again, took many years. I would say the trust fully came on for me about 11 years in. We finally got therapy, and probably around the same season that Dave's talking about, where his brother had to speak those words to him, because it was
Look at mama.
It was falling apart.
Well, it's like the kind of, it's like, who's your tribe? That's a big thing right there.
Yeah.
You don't want this huge people you're getting advice from everybody and their cousin, right? So you want to have your tribe, your small circle, right?
Yes.
And you want people that's going to uplift you. You want people that's going to speak words of positivity in your life. Speaks the breath of life. They're going to tell you, hey, well, maybe a little harsh, or they're gonna be real with you.
Gotta have that.
You're gonna feel a little.
Gotta have that.
You're gonna start sweating. You're gonna be like, what are you saying up here, man? Because you get like you get took in the church, But but that's what like you hear so many people like, oh man, yeah, it's real. I'm real this and real that, and it's like, do you really want the real? Because sometimes that hurts.
Right.
It's painful because you got to deal with stuff. You got to admit stuff. And that being said, it's you want to I forgot where I was going with that. But yeah, you just want, oh, it's the tribe. So you want you want a smaller circle, that people you could trust. Hey, that's my lifeline right here. They're not gonna
Right.
get no biased opinion or anything
Right.
like that, because it's like the old saying goes, misery loves company, right?
Right.
Yes.
They don't want to see
Yes.
you happy or doing
Right.
you better. But like for me personally, like for people that I love, and I'm getting better about that, because that's part of my trauma as a kid, of telling people, hey, I love you. I'm doing it more. Um, but at the same time, you want that. You want the realness. You don't want nobody
Yeah.
fake. They,
Right.
you don't want nobody being on. You want to be on their bandwagon or vice versa of misery loves company, because nobody don't like that. You're not growing as a person or an
Right.
individual, and stuff.
And we were dealing with the traumas we're talking about, just us being together in a relationship, getting to know each other. I brought 3 kids into the relationship, so there's that part as well. So we weren't just dealing with all of that. We were also dealing with, I didn't talk bad about my family to Dave. I felt always if I told people who my family really were, they'd run. And that's usually what they did as soon as they found out.
Yeah.
And I wanted him to find out for himself and make his own judgment. I knew I had a bunch of biases attached to it and my feelings and everything. So when he wouldn't trust in my dad, there was a time or two, and my dad would flat out tell him, don't waste your time with her and her kids. That's too
Wow.
big of a task. You can't handle it. Leave now.
Wow.
So he's battling, and that's just one thing, that's just how my family is. That's the type they call that being real. No, what it's called is, like you just said, hating. You couldn't make it
Yeah.
through your
Right.
relationship. You're not willing to put in the work. You gave up, which is fine, right? It's their
Yeah.
journey, but now they don't want to see it anywhere else because in their mind it's not possible.
Right.
Mm.
And so tribe, people you trust, I mean, it really makes a difference.
Yeah, you want people that actually cares about you and your relationship.
Definitely.
You want to see you want to be your tribe. You want to be, they like seeing you win, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Man, I'm loving this. What
Yeah.
I'm hearing, Gene, I don't know if you're hearing this, bro, is healing
Oh,
and
bro.
recovery.
Yeah.
Healing and recovery
Absolutely.
from trauma often requires intentional work, including
Yeah.
therapy,
All the
self
time.
reflection, and support from loved ones, as David so eloquently said. Acknowledging and addressing trauma is crucial for personal growth and the ability to engage in healthier relationships moving forward. And you've addressed all of that. I think
Right.
that's the power of your story, um, that started out rocky on a bad note, per se, but the intentionality. And then I love that, you know, that's Izzy's name, the intentional healer, that she's taken that not only personally to heal herself, and she's got a powerful story of what that looks like in healing her journey on cancer, but allowing that intentionality to heal her relationships, in particular her marriage. And now she is just this rock star out here healing folks left and right. I mean, and I'm one of those people that encountered Izzy and Dave and got to experience that intentional healing. So Izzy, speaking of that.
Yeah, and that's where I was called into purpose. And as I was being called into purpose, like you said, I just finally got to a point in my life. I was already working on loving and honoring my husband better. And that just meant, well, what are you doing now? Okay, add something to it. And I
Right.
kept challenging myself, add something to it. Patience, right? Forgiveness,
Exactly.
peace, learning to be quiet. Just because I feel it, I don't have to say it. All those
Oh,
things.
did you say the
And
power of being quiet?
yeah,
That's huge. That's huge. When your partner's trying
That
to
is
pick a fight,
so powerful.
your partner's trying to pick a fight. Guess what? The best solution: don't say nothing.
Oh, MG,
yeah.
man, that
So
was
I
a
was
mic
so used
drop.
to being my
Jim.
circle. See, they
Jim.
called me when I was younger, when I was in gangs, they called me La Loca because I was so unpredictable. I mean, they didn't know. Once my fuse was done, when I got triggered, that's it. I'm causing as much destruction as I can, because you're going to be telling stories about me for a long time.
Wow.
And that's how people don't fuck with you. You know, it's just really was what it was. And when I finally started learning to breathe, right? Like, I would have laughed at myself if people would have said, just breathe, do breath work, and it could change your life.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, I'm breathing clearly. What more can I do? You know,
the gangster breathing.
And with that pause and that breath. No, that's really what I would look like, G. And so imagine.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, when God had to show me the people on the other side of my anger, and I got to see Dave's face, I got to see my kid's face, my mom's face, my siblings' face, you know, I was like, okay, it wasn't cute. It wasn't cute. It was nothing I was proud of. So, but divine purpose, that's where I learned to pause and breathe, and that helped me just learn to be present in the moment. When I started practicing that, my breath, my feelings started fizzling, and then I could look around and I'm like, oh, life is still happening around me, even though I felt like it was falling apart and your brain's starting to get suffocated. I'm like, okay, life is still happening, all is well. What do I need to do next? You know, once I started asking those questions and being willing to take action on what Spirit told me I needed to do next, then came the world of giving back. Right. And that's really what has brought our relationship even closer, because my intentional journey, yes, it had a lot to do with me. I was supported by him through it, which then, because I kept me going and doing it, was able to pour off into him in his own way. Then we're both called to be a bigger purpose, you know, with this family in Uganda and with a nonprofit. And we help, you know, it just was so many things after that, but it was the giving back part, that total peace just took over our lives.
That's so good.
A quick question, if I can, and everything. So, what do you think the key is, David and Izzy? Because I know a number of people, and I've been involved in this in my early 60s and all of those lines, to actually getting involved in a blended family. We see so many families now that are interconnected, and there are blended families. I know that my brother is engaged and is doing that whole Brady Bunch thing, because he's got 2 kids, my 2 nephews, and his future wife, because this will be his 3rd wife, has 2 kids of her own, but they have definitely become very close. My nephews are close to their, what would amount to their stepbrother and stepsister, and all along those lines. So I was just wondering, because y'all talked about that noise that you hear a lot of times. I know a lot of people are afraid to get involved with women that have kids from previous relationships because of the amount of pressure that is placed on them from their families and others. I was just wondering your advice to those that are trying to get involved in blended families, or maybe not everybody has that same kind of resilience that you have, David. But I was just wondering, what advice would you give?
Yeah, my advice is just go in open-minded. Don't have no expectation, right? And, you know, don't be like, well, I'm gonna parent them like this. No, you got to not only got to show grace to your spouse, or if you're looking in going to it, you got to, you know, go in there. They want somebody that's gonna love them, right? We all do. So don't go in there and be like, oh man, you're gonna get punished for this and that from Jump Street. You don't want to do that. Go in there and just love them, because if the other parent's not there, or even if they're involved or not involved, they need somebody else that could love them, right? Because not both parents at the same time. One parent might get mad or upset for whatever reason because they're not cleaning their room or straightening it up, you know, and the other parent needs to be there to, we're like, hey man, it's okay. Hey, maybe I can come along and help you get it started, and you can finish it. You know, you gotta be understandable. You gotta be open-minded, but don't be scared of oh man, I don't know about, they got kids already. That's not nothing. You're gonna learn more from them than they're gonna learn from you. I guarantee that.
Well, one of the things I don't know y'all's thoughts on this, but I've heard some people say that they don't want to, and maybe this is for you, is they don't want to introduce the kids to their new significant other until they're sure that there's going to be a long-term relationship. So I just wondering your thoughts around that, because I do know that even in relationships I've been in, there have been folks that were hesitant about introducing me to the kids until they thought that there was a future of some sort or another.
That's good too.
So I really didn't, again, I wasn't slowed down enough to even think that way. I was a mother who jumped in right from my first relationship where I had 2 sons. Immediately out of that one, jumped into another one where I got pregnant with my daughter, and then met Dave when I was not even 2 months pregnant with her, and jumped into. I was just living life. There wasn't much I thought thoroughly about or cared so deeply about. It was about, how am I getting through today? My kids are alive. I'm alive. We good. Hey, you're good people. Come on, let's have some fun. When you're done, you're done. Goodbye. Loved you. Peace out. Keep moving. You
Love
know,
me some
She
Izzy,
just
boy.
couldn't get rid of me.
I
That's what it was.
could.
Yeah.
So I don't have the best on that season of my life, that, some words. I don't really have the words of wisdom to give, because I was just not thinking about probably some things I should have been thinking about, considering I had 2 kids and one on the way.
Well,
I
I'm going
think
to put it back
I,
over.
I would say err to caution, because each person's going to vary. Like some people, they might kind of be throwing up a smoke screen at first and stuff. But yeah, if you got kids and you're like cautious as far as introducing the kids or introducing the person to your kids, yeah, just err to caution. And that's going to vary. It's not like, hey, 2 weeks in dating, or a month, or 6 months, or a year. It's just err to caution. It depends on that person, I think.
Right.
That makes a lot of sense. I'm about to turn it back over to y'all and everything. You've definitely been on fire. But it sounds to me, Izzy, that the key that David had with you was something that a lot of people are very big on in business and in life. It's called persistence. So it sounds like he was very persistent with you and all along those lines.
Yes, and that also, because everything pissed me off back then. That pissed me off times, because once I told myself, "Oh, okay, we're done. The fun part ended. This is where it goes downhill," and I was okay with that, because that was the next part of the process. Just like in the video, and he wouldn't. I'd come out of work, and there'd be a card in my car with a stuffed animal, and I'm like,
Look at my
he thinks he
boy.
can just come in my car whenever he wants and do whatever he wants. See, he's a control freak. And I would turn it into something gross. But he was just very
That trauma
persistent.
talking.
Hmm.
That's that trauma talking.
And I'm grateful for it, obviously.
Yeah. What a beautiful story.
Yeah.
So I want you guys to pause for a minute. We were down to just a few more minutes to close out our show, and we're so, number one, thankful that you guys have come and graced us with your presence today. I guess, what would be a word of wisdom?
I would have to say, on my end, just keep pushing forward. Like anything worth having and holding, it takes work, and that don't mean like you do it for a day or 2 or a week. You got to think, okay, like the Olympics going on right now, right? How many hours and days and weeks? The Olympics every 4 years. You got tryouts. You don't just do it for a week and you have a week off. It's persistent. You got to stay persistent. You got to keep at it. If you want what we deem perfection, which in the Olympics is, gold, silver, or bronze, right? Medaling.
Right.
It takes work. Like, just thinking, like, we look at it and they're running for 10 seconds or less in a 100-meter race, dash, but we don't look at behind the scenes of how many hours are putting in there.
Right.
Their trainers, how the nutrition for their bodies, all the pain and stuff they're putting into it. We just see that, 10 seconds and them getting on the pedestal and stuff like that. So you got to be persistent. Sometimes you got to put your head down and keep grinding. You just got to keep grinding. That's it.
Come on, boy. Good night.
Yes, sir. Hey.
I got a couple seconds. So anything that you want your partner to change in their world?
Hold on. Slow down, Izzy. We got time, because I want you to get out. I want you to get what you said.
Okay, so
no rush.
Any grievance you have about your partner, I challenge you to take some time asking how you could do better in that specific area. And if it's not that if you can't find anywhere you could do better, then the challenge will be, how can you love them better through that?
Wow.
Through them being that just as it is. Because as soon as they feel loved and safe is when they're gonna be calm enough to hear Spirit speaking to them and what their next best step is. But we have to not keep them cloudy. You know, we do that a good job on that in ourselves as people. Keep everything, it gets clouded up in our heads. We don't need to be doing that to each other as well. So whatever grievance you have, be willing to work on that yourself. That's it.
Yeah.
I had to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, but the fruit of your labor is right here in front of us. Our audience gets to see the fruit of that labor.
Yeah, it took years. It's not, like I said, it's not overnight. You just got to put the work in and continue to do it.
Yeah.
Well, back to your point when you talked the analogy of the Olympics. I mean, we haven't seen the years of work. All we see today is this beautiful couple. It's a power couple. They're, you know, happy and in love and all of that. We don't see the love. We just see the fruit. So thank you guys today for going back and pulling, going back into the weeds and pulling some of that out for us so that we could learn from you today. I mean, they are a tremendous resource for us and our audience. Gene, what you got, my man?
Yeah, so to add on to Dave's analogy about the Olympics, one of my favorite freaking quotes from a monster of an Olympic athlete.
I know where you're going.
Usain Bolt. You already know.
Yes, that's
trained 4 years to run 10 seconds.
Yeah.
That's the consistency and the work that you have to put in every day for 4 years to run 10 seconds to get a gold medal.
Yeah.
And that's the effort that you have to put in every day as it pertains to being a better person, having better relationships, be it romantic, you know, spiritual relationship, business relationships. It's about doing the work for yourself. And to add on to what Izzy said, I love what you said, because the first thing is when you see a fault in your partner, the first thing is, am I operating from ego? When you see that flaw, you think what I'm saying? So you have to realize, am I operating from ego when I see this? And then what can I do about myself to adjust? And then you operate from there once you did the work to look at it from a unbiased, clear standpoint, where you step back from yourself, from your ego and your goals, and realize, oh, this person is going through something too. So let me, you know what, I could, like Dave said, maybe I was too harsh, or maybe I didn't explain myself enough, or you know, something. There's something that I could have done. We contribute. One of the philosophies I would say I adhere to pretty strictly is radical responsibility. Everything that transpires in my life, I had some point, there was something that I did to play into that. So I have to own my part, and then everything else falls into place.
Right.
That, man, that has been a pivotal thing for me, is taking ownership of where I'm at. And that means taking ownership in my personal life, my personal business or circumstance or situation. Because, I mean, dude, I just love what you just said, because it takes so much power away from external and gives the power back to internal, back to self. Yeah. And if I can control self, controlling the controllables. We talk about this on the show all the time. If I can control my controllables, then I'm in control of my destiny. So, man, what another powerful Unbreakable Soul show. But hey, bro, but we get to end on such a dope note too. So speak into real quick about your new single that's dropping, because we're gonna extra out with that.
For sure. Well, first I want to thank Izzy and Dave so much for coming.
Absolutely.
Like, just everything you all provided was like, it was therapy for me. I was in a therapy session right here online with everybody seeing. I love it. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. I love the work you two have put in consciously to make yourselves and your relationships better. Like that, you guys have inspired the hell out of me.
Rock stars, man.
For sure. Rock stars, absolute rock stars. So, rock star shit. So, we're going to end this show with my band, G Wiz and the Solar System. We have a song called You Deserve to Miss Me that actually discusses my relationship trauma from, you know, relationships in the past. I'm not going to go there. So, yeah, it's just the song is more about.
I saw some tenderness there, brother.
Y'all don't want me to go there right now. Y'all don't want. There's gonna be tears and stuff come after that. So
I saw some tenderness there, man.
But yeah, you know, man, it's just about constantly doing the work. And then when you don't do the work, the song speaks about the darkness and the ugliness that comes from it. And you know, so again, the song is called "You Deserve to Miss Me." For all of those who are in a relationship of any kind, make sure that you honor the person that you are in a relationship with, because at the end of the day, they are a reflection of you.
Yes.
Yeah, Jennifer closed this out with beautiful journey and gives so many hope. Man, see what you guys are out here doing?
Yeah,
Jennifer.
yep.
Dave, Izzy, you see what you out here doing?
Love it.
Because there's people
Keep
watching.
grinding, y'all.
Right.
Yeah. Love and appreciate you guys, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cue
Shards are clashed up in the creases. Sold parts of my soul to appease your demons. What the hell to bring you peace? And my heart lay tossed to the ground, broken and neglected by you. Now you avoid me like the dark, and I'm done playing your fool. Almost died when you left me. Thought this pain would break me. Fear these tears would kill me. When I saw you release me, your love has only skinned me. So you deserve to miss me. You deserve to miss me. You deserve to miss me. Hurt and confused. Why do I deserve your hatred? As a villain I've been painted. Spitting venom in the mist, weaving lies as you spin. Manufactured reality.